Call the January 19th, 2026 Polk City Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Item 2, roll call.
Jenkins, Roz,
Here.
Van Alstine,
Here.
Vogel,
Here.
Volkes,
Here.
Mann,
Here.
Lutnick.
Here. Item 3, approval of agenda.
I'd make a motion, we approve the agenda as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4, approval of P&Z Commission meetings from December 15th, 2025.
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes of December 15th, 2025 as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, approval of rezoning for Four Seasons Polk City from R1 to C1 restricted. Developer report? Start with your name and address too, please.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Jared Ruckel, MGR Developments. Address is 1425 Northwest Hug Drive, Polk City. And I've got, just want to introduce Kelsey Scallon here from Shive Hattery. So she's got the proposal up in front of you here and we can answer questions.
All right.
Yeah, Kelsey Scallon, Shive Hattery, 4125 Westtown Parkway. So before you tonight, you have a rezoning. You can see the exhibit here and in your packet. Rezoning for about 15 acres. And the development that is Polk's, Four Seasons Polk City. It was previously developed as a preliminary plat a handful of years ago. Plat 1 has been completed. There are homes on it. As part of this, we'd be looking to revamp, amend the preliminary plat, and as part of that, kind of the precursor to that, do this rezoning for a portion of that land, converting it from R1 to a C1 restricted use to try to vary up use in that area, take advantage of the future Whitetail Parkway that will be coming through, the amenities as town expands to the north here. So happy to answer any questions, and I believe as one of the other agenda items, we do have kind of a master plan that, again, not our formal preliminary plat submittal, but just as we've been working with the city and revamping what we think this area could look like, gives you a little bit of context of what we're asking for with this rezoning in relation to the rest of the development that is forthcoming.
And I thought I'd just add in here kind of the driver. So what we looked at originally, this was zoned as R1, and that is consistent with the master plan for the city. The challenge that we had with that, if you notice, I don't know how well it shows up there, but the square box there is a cell tower. So with that cell tower there, we had originally put houses around there, but the challenge is I'm not sure that there's many people that are going to want to have a cell tower in their backyard, side yard, front yard. So it kind of, in general, is already a commercial area, I guess. And then with when you look at the master plan, you'll see the park land dedication, and then also the parkway that's planned, future parkway that's planned, goes right by it. So it kind of sets up nicely, we think, for more of a commercial area. I think that this layout that we've got up here kind of shows that a little better. You can see the cell tower and the fall zone circle around it. So.
You want to move to the city engineer report if nobody has questions right now?
Yep, so as Kelsey and Jared had mentioned, the proposed rezoning is to a C1 restricted, with the restrictions specifically being C1 is a mixture of residential and commercial uses. We would restrict out the residential uses, with the purpose being we're making a change to be a neighborhood friendly type or a residential friendly type commercial use. We don't want that to then go through all this process just to have it come back as single family homes. That's not really what we're after, so that's the restriction that's proposed. As Kelsey and Jared also mentioned, the Polk City Future Land Use Plan had low density residential in this area, so this change would require an amendment to the comprehensive plan. It's our thought that although it's not shown in the future land use plan this way, addition of commercial in this area seems to meet the general intent of the comprehensive plan, where we add commercial facilities within Polk City in a manner that's reasonable and amenable to the neighborhood. So by restricting out those residential uses, picking the C1 district, which was originally designed to be the area directly surrounding the CTS zoning, what we're doing is we're doing some lower intensity uses that are more tailored to be neighborhood amenities. Things that aren't really office parks, like that's not really the intent of the C1 district. It's gonna be that intermingling of like convenience stores, retail, restaurants, that kind of thing is kind of the intent of doing the C1 district and why we selected rezoning to the C1 district versus like a C2 district like we would typically see. I did want to mention that the C1 district is, in the description, it says it's to be mindful of the area directly surrounding the CTS zoning. But I think it's reasonable to use outside of that application if it's in the same context of providing that transitionary zone where we don't have a big commercial expansive space. It's more of a lighter use type space. So that's kind of why we went with the C1 restricted. And then for the P&Z's consideration, we need 2 recommendations from you tonight. One on the future land use plan update, the comprehensive plan amendment. You'll do that one first, and then we'll do a second for a recommendation based on the zoning. The options are to approve it as presented, approve it subject to any comments, questions, concerns you may have, or deny it. The one thing on the questions or comments would be, because it's a zoning matter, you cannot necessarily place those restrictions on. You can ask, you can recommend that your approval be subject to those recommendations, but ultimately the property owner has to be willing to accept those. You as a body cannot impose those. The council can deny it if they so choose not to follow those recommendations, however. So just so you guys understand what's ahead of you, be happy to answer any questions you may have, but staff recommends approval of both the amendment and the rezoning as presented.
Any questions from the commission?
Does this restricted still have a buffer zone around it as those residential friendly are under that zoning? I should have looked that up, but.
Yeah, so there would be buffer requirements. I don't know what they are offhand.
Yeah, okay.
Right away, but there would be some sort of buffer requirements. I know that for a fact, because the way that our buffers are set up is anything higher than R2 has a buffer requirement to the R1.
Okay.
It would just be a matter of whether, I think it's probably a B. I'm not 100% sure on that offhand.
Okay,
That would be something that gets reviewed at the preliminary plat stage.
got it, okay, thank you.
Was there any public comment received? No? Anybody?
I make a motion to approve of rezoning of Four Seasons Polk City from R1 to C1 restricted.
Second?
Roll call?
Yes.
McCann.
Yes.
Yes.
Roz,
Yes.
Wallerstein.
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
We'll ask for a recommendation on the comp plan amendment too, if you have one. Those would be separate items.
So both within the same item, you're saying?
Because you just did it that way, it would have to be a second motion.
I make a motion to approve
The comprehensive plan amendment as presented.
the comprehensive plan amendment as presented. Second.
Roll call?
Whitman,
Aye.
Roz,
Aye.
Wallerstein.
Yes. Aye.
Aye.
Olfest.
Yes.
McCann.
Yes. All right, very good.
And then for the next item, I'm gonna jump over you, Justin, sorry. For that next item, we wanted to just give the commission the opportunity, this is a unique opportunity where you see the layout before it's actually put into a preliminary plat format. So if there's anything that jumps out to the commission specifically on that layout. We wanted to give you the opportunity to discuss or comment on that. One thing worth noting is the developer has made a change even from the concept we had initially started this rezoning application with, due to the cul-de-sac requirements. So as presented, the number of cul-de-sacs in this development meet the criteria for 2 per 40 acres. We would ask the commission for any comments, questions. There's no motion on this one specifically, but if you had any comments or questions, this seemed like a good opportunity. Otherwise, we can move on to the next item.
If it would be helpful, I can kind of walk through the changes. I don't know if you have a copy of the prior preliminary plat or not, but you can pull it up here real quick.
Help.
But our goal basically would be to bring this back as a preliminary plat. Probably in February is what we were shooting for, so we just needed to get the zoning to make sure that that was okay first before we move forward with the preliminary plat. But the concept is here. So Kelsey's got them side by side, so you, first thing you can see in the what's now plat 2 and was plat 4 before. So you can kind of see how we reoriented those. So we've got 2 cul-de-sacs there where there wasn't one before, but that change is really to try and match the layout or the grading of the land that's there. So in the back, kind of backing up to what was plat 1, that boundary between plat 1 and plat 2, that's a ravine creek bed area. So there's trees there. And obviously where the cell tower is, that's up on top of a hill. So, and the parkway kind of follows along that ridge of that hill. So the old design where that was laid out, it was really gonna make a lot of lots that the back of the yards of the lot were gonna slope towards the house, which we didn't like. The new lot layout, basically the cul-de-sac kind of follows down the hill, sets up for more walkouts and daylight lots, and then follows that grading contour that's already there instead of trying to fight it, if you will. Say the other more minor changes in plat 3, which is plat 2 before. You can see we split that cul-de-sac apart, and it's kind of, again, that's also, there was a natural waterway that ties into that creek area and our detention pond. So rather than putting a road across that and it's essentially kind of blocking that up and fighting the grading there, we're just opening that up to allow that to drain that more naturally and again, set up for more walkout and daylight lots, or sorry, walkout and daylight lots there. And then the rest of it is more minor changes, but just trying to optimize streets and lots. We recentered the lots around, there's a fence row currently between plat 4 and 5 shown there now. And so that lines, that boundary is all lined with trees so that we were trying to maintain those trees versus before we were offset from that. So all those trees are gonna have to be removed, so. Overall concept, I think we were down about, how many lots?
I think we're gonna end up between 5 and 10. 10 might be a little aggressive, but
So 10 less
a
lots than
little
we
bit
had
reduced from
before.
what we had before. I
But-
think the only thing to notice is the parkland, again, kind of shifting where that parkland falls. It's currently buffered against that commercial, again, providing kind of an additional buffer, if you will, to the residential, and then making sure we have some lots back to that parkland area. We did work with the city to review kind of the shape of that and its placement adjacent to Whitetail Parkway, so that it would be usable and desirable for the city in the future.
I like the idea of using the natural terrain more. Your lots are gonna be more attractive that way, I think, and more usable, and I like what you've done.
Any other comments on changes, discussion points?
Need a motion on that? Just input, okay.
Just input, so.
No,
Thank you.
yep.
You bet, thank you. Item 8, approval of Polk City Regional Park Site Plan. City engineer report.
So for the commission's consideration tonight is the site plan associated. For the commission's consideration tonight is a site plan associated with Polk City Regional Park Phase 1. Included in that are three U19 soccer fields, three U12 soccer fields, a practice quad for the baseball and softball teams to use for practice as part of this Phase 1 project, a concessions or a modern restroom facility with a second building that will be left unfinished at this point for the purposes of a future concession stand, as well as construction of the associated parking lots, detention basin, northeast 7th Street from its current stub off of Vista Lake Avenue to the southern boundary of the park. And then any associated utility work that goes along with that. Specifically, what we're asking for tonight is review, comment, and recommendations on approval of the site plan itself. So related to compliance with city code, site plan requirements, detention basins, that kind of stuff. Generally speaking, the proposed site plan follows the general layout that was proposed as part of the city council's regional park master planning. There are a handful of coordination items that won't change the grand scheme of the site plan itself, but generally speaking are minor tweaks, massaging grades here, reducing retaining walls there, playing with some of the grading limits, that kind of stuff, but it all is going to occur on the city's property, aside from some minor grading west and northeast 7th Street. Staff is so the way that we're handling this project is basically our park designers are working with the Parks and Rec Department to work through all the different requirements and considerations of that. Then it's submitted to city staff and I review it just as if it's any other site plan. So that's gone through a full staff review and staff recommends approval of the site plan. Subject to the items in my memo, which are the project being bid in accordance with state code, any final documents being prepared in accordance with Polk City Municipal Code, and then no significant changes that would change the interpretation or cause nonconformities with Polk City's code. So those minor grading tweaks wouldn't trigger that, but if we're moving a field, we're changing a detention requirement, we're adding more pavement, that kind of stuff, this P&Z the P&Z Commission would see that again. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we recommend approval of the site plan.
Under this plan, the grading would be done for the future parking as well?
Correct, yep. So the way that it's set up right now is basically the park road tees and at the edges of those tees, they'll grade the future road layout as well as a big pad off the end, because we're providing just short of 250 spots, which is approximately double what the current sports complex has for a similar number of fields. Council's still kind of concerned about the number of parking stalls out there, so we're providing that grass overflow in the event that it's needed.
Sure. The detention's already there, or is that part of it as well?
It is significantly there. There'll be some minor tweaks just based on, we've added a little bit more pavement, we've optimized some of the parking to be able to provide what we think we need and kind of plan for some future amenities. I guess that is one thing that you'll notice, that if you compare this plan to the master plan, some of the parking we've actually flipped to the south side of the park road, with the idea being is at some point there'll be a dog park and I think the pickleball courts are down there. There's some amenities on the other side, the south side of that park road. So we're providing a parking lot that will service the sports complex when needed, but specifically provides access to those other facilities south of the road without having to cross that park road. But to answer your question, the detention is
pretty much there. There's been some minor tweaks to some of the paved surfaces, so we're gonna have to make some minor modifications during the project.
It's a nice layout. Looks like it'll work very well.
And I guess the one other thing worth mentioning is where there is an existing home north of the northwest soccer field, so in the northwest corner of the park, there is a netting proposed to keep the soccer balls on city property. And then as those houses continue to develop to the east, which would be part of what would be Big Creek Commons Plat 3, we're gonna make a recommendation to Parks and Rec that they start budgeting to erect those nettings as the street is extended.
Okay. Any other questions on this?
So looking at this, it flowed, traffic only enters and exits on that left side road.
For now.
Okay.
Yep, so once East Vista Lake is extended and phase 2 of the park is built, you'll have a loop that goes through.
Okay.
It'll be basically an L shape that'll more or less follow where the trail meanders its way up. And it aligns with the preliminary plat that was prepared by CEC on Big Creek Commons, the street stub.
Will there be lights at that one side, on that left side for both intersections?
There'll be street lighting for all the parking, all the Park Road and Northeast 7th. At this time, I believe we are planning to put the conduits in for field lighting, but are not proposing it as part of this phase.
Will there be traffic signals on the left, on that road too?
Not right now. We've done a traffic impact study that doesn't warrant them. As Northeast 7th is extended further to the north, I can see where that becomes warranted at some point. We just don't meet them right now.
Questions or a motion or?
I'd make a motion that we approve the Polk City Regional Park site plan.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Ham,
Yes.
Lutnick,
Yes.
Roz,
Yes.
Van Alstine,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Olmstead.
Yes.
All right, item passes. Item 9, approval of old City Hall demolition site plan.
So for the commission's consideration tonight is a site plan showing the demolition of the northern lean-to on the Big Creek Elementary School building, what was old City Hall. That site does not currently have a site plan. Public Works is fully prepared to remove that lean-to. Public Works actually built that lean-to many, many years ago. And so as part of this process, to be consistent with the rest of our procedures, we have submitted a site plan, or prepared and submitted a site plan. Again, this was reviewed, prepared by our south building, using Public Works as the client, with me providing staff review on behalf of the city of Polk City's administrative staff. This really just shows taking of the old building, seating it back, protecting that historical structure. As the process kind of evolves, as city council continues to plan for the future of that building, we will likely bring back some sort of site plan amendment to show the actual layouts, any improvements, that kind of thing, as far as that's concerned. But as of right now, we don't technically trigger full compliance with the Polk City site plan ordinance because we're not doing 50% valuation change of that building. And as such, we have shown removal of that building, protecting of the existing structure, seating it back, and then we'll likely come back in the future with an additional site plan as that building continues to evolve or devolve, depending on how you want to look at it.
And that future plan would include any siding or whatever happens to that exposed wall after demo,
Restoration of it.
the restoration. Or
Likely, I think we don't have a real good feel on that right now, because despite Public Works doing it all those years ago. We're just not sure what we're going to encounter when we go to take that structure off. What I will tell you is we have reviewed the historical registration for that building, and the lean-tos are not included in that. The rear addition, so the one that's directly behind the old elementary school building, is a little ambiguous with the registration. So what I will tell you is we're gonna have to do it a little more digging and probably work with the state historical office to determine if we can take that rear section off. But what we would likely do is if the siding goes back on, it would be in accordance with the historical registration, which is very, very prescriptive. The Historical Society did a really nice job of applying for that historical registration. So it's very descriptive. It's pretty particular in terms of what materials are going to be used. So with this site plan, I would tell you to assume and understand that basically we're gonna put back what's on the rest of the elementary school at this time.
Sure.
And then if we need to change from that, I would say yes, that would be something that this
Do a little
commission would
more
see
once the
again.
demolition's done, obviously, so, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the old City Hall demolition site plan.
second,
Roll call?
Lopez,
yes.
McCann,
Yes.
Lutnick,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes. All right, item 10, reports and particulars, council liaison.
Good evening, Commission. Only got a couple items this evening. First of all, I want to welcome Mr. McCann to the Commission. Glad to see him continuing to give back to the community, coming from the Parks Commission, so welcome.
Thank you.
Just a couple of items, like I said. First of all, the entire city council, mayor, and staff met last week. We do a every other year strategic planning, if you're not aware, session. So it's a strategic session where we kind of talk about what we've accomplished in the past couple of years, look at items in our current CIP, talk about things maybe that there might be deltas, things we might be missing, as well as opportunities to look at wants and needs of our cities. So it was a pretty good working session. I know we're gonna have some takeaways from that. It's very timely because we're halfway through fiscal year 26, and we're gonna start our budget session for fiscal year 27 here in a couple weeks. So with that, we'll be reviewing all the items, like I said, that we kind of got takeaways from the strategic planning and look at and see where we could accommodate. Not much above and beyond that, you know, we're just a couple weeks into the new year, but.
Okay.
All right, city staff?
I can give you an update for some numbers, I guess, for single-family residential. 2024, we had about 50 new homes, and last year in 2025, we're at about 68. So we're positive and going well that route. Started off strong this year, so it's nice to see some other developments coming up.
All right. Commission members?
Nothing.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.